Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Now, President Bola Tinubu says his administration is focused on making a positive difference in the nation's infrastructure, food and energy security, education, and long-term economic stability. The president's latest statement on the state of the nation's economy was at a meeting with the Forum of Former Presiding Officers of the National Assembly, led by former Senate President Ken Nnamani. He told the 16 former presiding officers that he is quite aware of the current situation in the country.
Yes, there's hardship, but how did we get here? What did we do when we had very high production? We neglected our communities. We neglected the goose that lays the golden egg. We forget to even give them common, decent standard of living. We forget to educate our children. Go around and look at the schools. Ramshackle. Education environment must be decent enough for people to want to learn. We can complain from now till eternity that the school enrollment is low. Did we even do anything to encourage that education process? We must ask ourselves, it's a matter of conscience. Imagine how you get here. If you get here by road, how many roads in your community are passable? Infrastructure deficit, capital spending, financial regulation not followed. I think many of you will come a long way. And all I can promise is do the best. People are complaining now of petroleum prices. First of all, we must have fuel security. Yes, we have fuel in the ground. Do we have the capacity to bring it up to even before we revive, before we distribute? Have we examined alternative source of energy with all that the world has given to us? I'm glad of your encouragement. And I can assure you, I didn't come to look for money and exploit the situation. I came to work. I asked for the votes. And they gave it to me. Here we are. Many of you can still write few pages of history of democracy in Nigeria. And I like what you are doing. Encouraging the country. You are the one to make the clear interpretation of where we are, how we are, educate our people. Imagine when I resumed, I said, the subsidy was gone. And there was no subsidy in the budget handed over to me. I can't be creative and look for magic lamp to create a budget. And ever since, we maintain that position. You know, from several millions of liters, now we are down to 30-something. We are knowing through consumption of how much we are taking. We are not here, and we should not be here. And I know you are not one of them, the smugglers. Look at the prices across the country. Cameroon, look at it. Mali, check. Burkina Faso, check. Check Niger. Check Benin Republic to Ghana. Check the prices. And we are not able to equip our hospitals, able to build new classrooms. If we are spending this money, not few people are spending it on ourselves, I believe we will get better return and happiness and development program. If we invest it in our infrastructure, to some extent that we are now afraid to even borrow to invest. I need your collaboration. Look at us. Agriculture, that is the main thing. People say, oh, we are hungry. Yes, I understand that. But we cannot just take a free bowl. We must work hard. We've sustained 25 years of democracy this year. We don't want to keep the people hungry and angry. But we say, be patient. There is no free beer parlor anymore. We will retool and rebuild the Nigerian economy, I assure you, with your cooperation. I thank you very, very much.
President Bola Tinubu there. Well, the question is, was there ever free beer parlors in Nigeria? That's $1 billion question there, or billionaire if you like. Well, I'm joined now by Arise analyst Dr. Sam Amadi to help us unpack and make sense of what we've heard from President Tinubu. He's said a lot of things, starting with, look, I'm not here to look for money, but to work and work for Nigerians. How comforting are those words? And what do you make of the overall statement that the president has made?
I think this is obviously the most extensive in recent time of Tinubu's, President Tinubu's, description and analysis of what we are faced with as a president. So this might be his own fireside chat, okay? And speaking to a distinguished audience of former principal officers of the National Assembly, maybe he felt at home. You can see that he went on a long, some parts very lucid, some parts not so lucid. I mean, confusing and...
Which parts of it were lucid to you?
Well, when he talked, earlier part was started talking about, he's not there to make money, and the fact that really things are difficult in terms of where we are. But then it's rambling started, and again, the question is, was he speaking as opposition leader? This will be quintessential Tinubu before 2023. I mean, or before 2015, when he was attacking the PDP. No schools, no roads, nothing, no capacity. is something
sounded
that
like some kind of campaign or
for
opposition.
opposition,
You know,
exactly. So it was like I had to pinch myself. I'm not listening to the opposition leader or as president. So now as president, and he was forthright to say, look, we have difficult problems.
Yeah.
I think he was also made some good points around the fact that there was no way he could probably sustain subsidy. But he didn't speak as to the policy choices he made, which are also part, and the sequencing of those policy choices. So if you take in terms of subsidy is gone, of course there was no budgetary provision. But again, as president, you also have opportunity to put in the budget. So that's not an excuse. He could if he wanted, he didn't want. Two, at the same time, devaluing the currency in the way they did. That created a double whammy that we see impact on inflation and loss of. And again, what was missing really, at a point it was very hopeless, not in the derogatory sense, but lacking hope.
Right.
We talk about, yes, we have oil, but it's in the ground. We have no capacity.
And we don't even have the capacity
to bring it. So
bring the
the
oil
question
out.
is, so that basically no sense that there could be mitigation down the road. He didn't talk about how this rising cost of PPMS over time we're going to deal with it. And also issues around the fact that, look, we have basically to justify the suffering.
Okay, let's help ourselves out here. He said, look, yes, there is hardship, but how did we get here? Billion naira question again. What did we do when we had very high crude production? Now, almost 2 years of being in the saddle. Are these the kinds of questions you expect to be hearing? Or if the president is going to address Nigerians for 7 or 10 minutes, for that matter, do you expect that at this time he should be talking to Nigerians in terms of the kind of cause that we have traveled, the path we've traveled so far, the achievements of this administration in the one or,
and the things they could do better in the future.
And what we could do better.
Exactly. I mean, at the point where he says, how do we get here? How do we get here? I was thinking, is he talking about 16 years of PDP or 8 years of his party?
APC.
So it's difficult to say how we got here. 8 years has passed, and his own 2 years about to end. So, in a sense, that is a beating horse. That's the whole joke of the last 8 years, how PDP ruined 16 years. Of course, that 16 years comparatively better GDP growth. In some phases, there are times we were very low. So essentially, it's not compelling, persuasive to talk about how we got here. We know that. You've said that's part of why you guys won election in 2015. So what the president should do now, and if such an opportunity comes up again, yes, you can make a slight statement about we missed the road some time ago, but now we're getting the road right. These are things we have done. This is how we want to make them impact on people. So I think it sounded more like justification. You know what? We are down, and it's not me. Yes, I'll do my best, but it didn't convey the sense of somebody who really says, I think I'll get you guys out of the wood. Is that I'll do my best, but you know what? This best might be actually hopeless. So know who to blame. It's not me. It's the guys who didn't invest in human development. He talked about those who didn't invest in schools.
We neglected our communities. We neglected the goose that lays the golden eggs.
And those are good.
Even to give them a good standard of living, we forgot to educate our children. That's
an honest assessment of how we have traveled in the last 60 years.
And we're still there.
And we're still there. The problem is that he also was part of that for 8 years as governor. This didn't just start in 2014 or 2010. This was since 1999. So 8 years as governor, 8 other years as leader of opposition, and now 2 years as the president of the country. So he is complicit in this misdirection. And now that he's president, and of course he didn't have executive power before those days, he cannot articulate. And 2 years really, we're not seeing, look, the indicators, they're talking about the cost of fuel across our neighborhood. But of course, Nigeria has the highest inflation rate among our neighbors. They're talking about now 32.15 or so, 0.15. Okay?
Even though it's come down, it's dipped.
No, it was 33.40
it's dipped back
and
to
dipped
back
by about 1.25, so 25%. But
an
still,
indication that some of the policies may be working in the right
direction.
direction.
Maybe. And again, if you look back last year, it's still higher. It's higher, but it's relatively lower than last month. And
there you go.
by the end of the quarter,
the
we're
president also said
yeah,
that, look, our fuel consumption is getting clearer.
the figures.
Yeah, the figures are getting clearer.
But even now, nobody can say the figure. By the way, it's getting clear for several factors. You know, consumption is low. I mean, how many people are on the road? So yes, there's the argument around smuggling that maybe because of the low pricing relative to our neighbors,
Yes.
the incentive to smuggle out to the border is high. That if the price are at parity, the incentive to smuggle is
Will
low.
be-
But so we want to see, you know, clear data that suggests to us how much have we saved. Yes, look, no doubt that scarcity will create some changes in behavior.
Yeah.
But what we're looking at is the GDP impact and also the human development impact of this level of starvation. By the way, it says no beer, no free beer.
No free beer parlor.
Look, the problem of
Was
this,
there ever one?
the problem with people in power is that they are seeing this issue about hunger as if it's like we are living big and we are cutting down. People are living to the bones. I mean, so it's not about those who want more beer to drink or those who want to travel over the world. We're talking about basic people who are in schools.
Bare necessities.
Look at the way former President Absalam, former head of state, spoke about it. He's not a politician.
Things are getting
he's
out
not
of
a politician.
control.
He got a point. So I think that in next speech, they should move away from this idea of free beer, free meal, free fuel. We've moved that. We're now where we are struggling for base existence.
And
so,
the president made a point there, a very critical point. He said, look, we've sustained 25 years of democracy. We don't want to keep the people hungry and angry.
I think that's a self-recognition. And by the way, the president has skipped the hunger, meaning that he understands the need to sit down and work
to address the
issues. So
issues
I want to see this. His speech suggests, the good point is that he suggests that the president is coming to some awareness that things are not very good, and therefore he probably will spend more executive time attending to these things and less on politics. And again, maybe he will bring his team back to live away from arrest of those who protested, prosecution of people who have different views and protests, and focus on bringing people together and deal with it. This problem can be solved. So the president has started in a good way by retuning himself to the reality of economic failure, economic suffering, and policy. He should now create a more expansive network of people, move around the country more, talk to constituencies, not just his own political group, but divergent constituencies, talk with labor, talk with workers, talk with farmers. And that's how you build intelligence for policy work that works.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dr. Sam Amadi, Arise Analyst, I have to say thank you very much for joining us.